Ranking Member Cohen and members of the subcommittee. My name is Sara Nelson. I'm the president of the Association of Flight Attendants and a 30-year flight attendant myself, representing 55,000 flight attendants at 20 different airlines. We are grateful for the opportunity to testify with the perspective of aviation's first responders and our sister unions representing other aviation workers. The 2024 FAA Reauthorization Act was an incredibly important step forward in addressing decades of missed opportunities in shoring up our national aviation system. We applaud this committee on your efforts to get it passed and implemented, and we commend Secretary Duffy on his plans to supercharge staffing and modernization. With deep respect for the families of PSA Flight 5342 and PAT 25, and lives lost in aviation tragedies in the past, we must always put safety and security first and redouble efforts to plug holes and mitigate risks in the system. Safety first, always. But aviation is also critical for our entire economy and connectivity across the country and around the world. My written testimony addresses our safety priorities in the law and the status of implementation, including important workplace safety that also affects passengers, contaminated recirculated air, temperature standards, ramp safety, radiation exposure, flight deck secondary barriers, standards for good jobs in aviation, mitigating cybersecurity risks, and addressing issues with disruptive passengers. With the exception of the work by the National Academy of Sciences, much of this has been delayed or sidelined by this administration's actions to disband safety advisory committees and rulemaking committees. But we are also very concerned that actions to fire probationary federal workers, implement the deferred resignation program, put in place hiring freezes, and put in jeopardy the federal worker pensions and health care with budget cuts that come from the bottom to give massive tax cuts to the rich who do not need it, undermine the work of this committee and the diligent efforts of the Secretary to shore up our national aviation system. The Wall Street Journal published an article recently that highlights concern over staff departures that could affect, quote, the processing of medical clearances for pilots and air traffic controllers, work on runway safety, and the pace of licensing in the agency's commercial space offices. We are also getting direct reports that the loss of employees that support the frontline safety professionals is taking a toll as HR and security screeners at the FAA have taken the deferred resignation program, and this is slowing the hiring process, directly harming the focus of this committee and Secretary Duffy's plans to supercharge the changes we need. Every worker at the FAA contributes to safety, whether deemed essential or not. The staffing cuts, disruptions, and distractions to the safety work of those who maintain and enforce the standards of our aviation system is simply unacceptable. It's also important to recognize that other agencies contribute significantly to aviation safety, including the National Weather Service, NIOSH, and USAID. The cuts to these agencies and personnel are directly undermining efforts to get the information and structure we need to keep us safe in all airspace, on the ground around the world, and able to keep threats to our safety, such as Ebola or other communicable disease, from being spread throughout and by our aviation system. DOJ should not be allowed to undermine safety in the name of efficiency. As aviation's first responders, we are charged with the safety, health, and security of all passengers and crew on our flight, and we promise our own families that we will come home safely too. Aviation safety is personal to us, just as it is for tens of thousands of federal workers who take part in helping us keep the promise to our families and our loved ones in our care. It is the product of hundreds of thousands of workers, from engineers to mechanics to safety inspectors, security officers, pilots, gate agents, baggage handlers, flight attendants, and air traffic controllers, asking all day long, is it safe? We ask this question with the information we have from tragic moments of gaps in safety and promises to the memory of those we've lost and the families with whom we grieve, that it will never happen again. This starts with supporting a thorough investigation, continues with advocacy for reform, and lives forever in our repeated analysis all day long, is it safe? Aviation is the safest mode of transportation because we demand it. And we built a system that allows us to predict risk, produce redundancies, and fill holes to keep tragedy at bay. The FAA holds the statutory mandate to ensure the highest degree of aviation safety. Our industry has been through many ups and downs. We cannot control the weather, but we can commit to steady funding, no shutdowns, the highest standards, broad recruitment, including the promise of good, steady jobs, and working with the people on the front lines who know the system best, how to fix it, what it lacks, and what it needs. We applaud and support the subcommittees focused on the safest, most efficient national airspace system in the world. We are committed to fulfilling this mission with you and all of our partners in aviation safety, health, and security. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson, and thank you all for your time.